All right, settle in, everyone. Grab your popcorn, maybe a soda, because we're about to take a wild, wonderful trip back in time. We're talking about the 1950s, a decade when cinema didn't just find its voice, it found its groove. Imagine a time when movies learned to literally sing in the rain, stare through rear window shutters, and even race chariots under a scorching desert sun. How did the 1950s turn film into the world's most daring classroom, you ask? Well, from the joyous splashes of Singin' in the Rain to the nail-biting tension of Rear Window and the epic scale of Ben-Hur to the hilarious cross-dressing antics of Some Like It Hot, these cinematic masterpieces, and about 16 more we'll touch on, absolutely rewrote everything we thought movies could do. We're going to unpack the craft, the controversies, and the mind-blowing innovations that make them essential viewing even 70 years later. So buckle up and stay tuned to discover which classics still shape the stories you love today.
First up, Singin' in the Rain from 1952. Gene Kelly and Stanley Donen didn't just make a fun musical, they basically documented Hollywood's own technological panic. The plot hilariously mirrors the talkie revolution of 1927, so right off the bat, this movie becomes a mini course on film history. Ever heard the Moses Supposes sequence? It pokes fun at the diction coaches hired to save silent-era stars, a real crisis that actually bankrupted studios back then. Technically, this picture was a feat. Kelly, the visionary that he was, insisted on shooting dance numbers with wide frames and very few cuts, proving that choreography could totally carry narrative weight. And to record every single tap, MGM literally hid over 40 microphones in lampposts and curbs. That experiment, my friends, advanced on-set sound design standards like crazy. Its long reach? Directors from Damien Chazelle to Baz Luhrmann still cite Kelly's athletic camera staging as a template for melding story and spectacle. Critics like Janine Basinger still rank it as the definitive movie about movies because it explains, in song, how creativity can turn pure chaos into beautiful art. Pretty deep for a musical, right?
Next, we dive into the gritty world of On the Waterfront from 1954. Why does Marlon Brando's I Could Have Been a Contender still sting so much? Because Elia Kazan shot this corruption drama on real Hoboken docks, letting rough voices and foggy sirens replace polished studio backdrops. That location realism, super rare in 1954, persuaded studios that truth-based settings could totally outclass fake facades. Brando's method performance also changed acting itself. Until then, big gestures ruled. But Brando, he mumbled, he fidgeted, and he let silence hang heavy in the air. Acting teachers worldwide switched their curricula, citing this film as proof that underplaying a scene could absolutely electrify it. The story's moral spine, about standing up to mob tyranny, mirrored Kazan's own guilt over naming names to HUAC, and the viewers sensed that authenticity. Its box office success showed that audiences would actually embrace uncomfortable social critiques. Modern labor rights movies, from Norma Rae to The Fighter, all trace their DNA back to Bud Schulberg's script for this one. Powerful stuff.
Alfred Hitchcock's Rear Window, also from 1954. Hitch wanted to demonstrate pure cinema, and boy did he ever. He built a 4-story courtyard set, choreographed 31 apartments, and then let James Stewart's telephoto lens become the only viewpoint. This restriction, believe it or not, forces us viewers to assemble clues visually, perfectly illustrating Hitchcock's thesis that montage shapes emotion way more than dialogue. Grace Kelly's midnight break-in scene shows another lesson. Camera movement can create empathy. As the lens glides toward her, we share both her courage and the killer's looming threat. Film school courses still use that scene to teach point-of-view grammar. Beyond the craft, the movie really diagnoses our modern screen culture. It asks, do we watch Neighbors out of concern or voyeuristic thrill? Contemporary thrillers like Disturbia and even social media commentaries like Searching borrow its apartment block metaphor to explore ethical spectatorship. Something to think about, isn't it?
Now, let's talk about 12 Angry Men from 1957. Sidney Lumet proved you can stage a nail-biter in a single room. He rehearsed it like theater, then shot it chronologically, tightening focal lengths so the walls literally appear to close in, a visual rationale for escalating tension. This technique is now textbook for directors handling claustrophobic settings. But the film's greatness really rests on its ideas. Reginald Rose's script brilliantly dismantles prejudice by showing how one calm voice can dismantle sloppy reasoning. In the McCarthy era, that message functioned as a stealth plea for due process. Its influence? Enduring. Juror room dynamics inspire corporate training videos, law school classroom debates, and even TV bottle episodes from Breaking Bad to Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Every time a drama portrays shifting groupthink, it's essentially reteaching the lessons of Lumet's geometry and Rose's logic. Amazing. Moving on to The Bridge on the River Kwai, also from 1957, David Lean spends the first act convincing us Colonel Nicholson's bridge represents British resolve. Then he shows that same resolve turned toxic. That contradiction provides the film's explanatory power. Professionalism without purpose becomes self-destruction. To really sell the theme, Lean insisted on an actual bridge in a real jungle built by 4,000 workers and destroyed in one take. That logistical triumph signaled that widescreen epics could deliver both spectacle and moral ambiguity, a blend later echoed in Lawrence of Arabia and Apocalypse Now. Maurice Jarre's whistled Colonel Bogey March truly lodges in your memory, reinforcing how sound motifs can carry irony. Military historians even screen the film when discussing leadership ethics, proving its relevance far beyond just cinema studies. From 1951, we have A Streetcar Named Desire. This adaptation wasn't merely staged to screen, it was an acting revolution. Marlon Brando's raw method intensity clashed beautifully with Vivien Leigh's classical precision, making audiences feel like they were watching two art forms duel. That contrast explains why teachers still assign the picture when covering acting styles. Elia Kazan preserved Tennessee Williams' cramped apartment layout, allowing sweat and shadow to amplify Blanche's unraveling. By letting heat literally become a character, Kazan demonstrated environmental storytelling, how setting can mirror psychology. Censorship battles forced some dialogue cuts, yet the film still smoldered enough to push production code boundaries, clearing space for honest adult themes in later dramas like Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf? Talk about pushing the envelope. Let's not forget All About Eve from 1950. Joseph L. Mankiewicz's Oscar-winning script dissects ambition with surgical precision. Each fasten your seatbelts, it's going to be a bumpy night, doubles as a mini lesson on how language can reveal power plays. Screenwriting courses still analyze its dialogue beats to show character development through sheer wit. Structurally, the film pioneered nested flashbacks and voiceover rotation, letting multiple narrators reshape one story, a technique later adopted by Goodfellas and The Favorite. Commercially, its record-time 14 Oscar nominations proved conversation-driven dramas could dominate award season, encouraging studios to greenlight other smart, wordy-heavy projects in a Technicolor age. Pure genius.
Next, we journey to the vast landscapes of The Searchers from 1956. John Ford's panoramic Monument Valley shots aren't just pretty. They externalize Ethan Edwards' moral emptiness. Cinematographer Winton Hawk kept the hero framed against cavernous sky to visualize isolation, a method later quoted by Spielberg and Lucas. Narratively, this Western dared to question its protagonist's racism, foreshadowing revisionist takes like Unforgiven. Critics call it the first mainstream Western to make audience sympathy conditional. Its editing language, especially the famous doorway bookends, taught filmmakers how to close a saga while leaving psychological doors open. That grammar appears in everything from Star Wars to The Mandalorian. Powerful, uncomfortable, and utterly groundbreaking.
From 1959, we have the colossal Ben-Hur. William Wyler fused old Hollywood grandeur with new Hollywood intensity. Those 65mm cameras literally placed viewers inside the chariots, rewriting action scene standards. MGM's unprecedented $15 million wager also proved epic budgets could be recouped through international distribution and roadshow runs. Theologically, the film's subtle use of Christ's unseen face allowed for universal appeal, illustrating how restraint can broaden market reach. Its 11 Oscars validated
validated long-form storytelling, prompting studios to fund later epics like Lawrence of Arabia. Most crucially, the film standardized second-unit action direction. Yakima Canutt's chariot race storyboards became required reading for stunt coordinators worldwide. Just phenomenal.
Orson Welles' Touch of Evil from 1958. Welles wanted to prove Studio B pictures could house A-level artistry. His 3-minute opening tracking shot demonstrates seamless suspense via real-time geography. Film schools replay it frame by frame when teaching blocking and temporal tension. Editing battles show another reason for its greatness. Welles's 58-page memo arguing for his cut became a primary document in auteur rights discussions. The 1998 restoration validated his instincts, influencing Directors Guild standards for final cut protection. Stylistically, its grotesque angles and nightmarish lighting rebooted film noir for a post-war audience, paving the way for neo-noir from Chinatown to Blade Runner 2049, dark, stylish, and deeply influential. Then there's The Night of the Hunter from 1955. Charles Laughton used German expressionist lighting to turn America's rural South into a fairy tale nightmare. Cinematographer Stanley Cortez shot children rowing past silhouetted trees. It looks like a storybook etching come alive. The imagery teaches how stylization can reveal psychological truth. Initially a box office flop, critics later reevaluated it, showing how reception can lag behind innovation. Today, it tops cinematography polls, proving timeless craft eventually trumps first-week grosses. Robert Mitchum's Tattooed Preacher became the blueprint for cinematic hypocrites, influencing villains from Cape Fear's Max Cady to Do the Right Thing's Radio Raheem. Spooky good.
From 1951, The African Queen. John Huston insisted on filming in Uganda and Congo, arguing genuine humidity would make audiences feel the heat. That gamble advanced portable camera usage and lightweight sound rigs. Story-wise, the film flips standard gender roles. Katharine Hepburn steers the mission, illustrating early Hollywood's capacity for strong female agency. That dynamic informs later adventure romances like Romancing the Stone. Humphrey Bogart's Oscar win rewarded comedic vulnerability, proof that tough guy icons could broaden their range without losing box office draw, opening doors for action stars to explore softer roles. A true adventure. And now for some laughs with Some Like It Hot from 1959. Billy Wilder famously cracked the production code by embedding sexual frankness in rapid-fire jokes. His strategy explains how comedy can cloak controversial themes. Narratively, the script sets a modern pace, 1,400 jokes in 2 hours, a rhythm later mirrored by Airplane and The Wolf of Wall Street. Its editing rhythms teach how punchline timing drives audience breadth. Culturally, the film normalized cross-dressing narratives for mainstream viewers, laying groundwork for Tootsie and Mrs. Doubtfire. Its frequent topping of comedy poles demonstrates that breaking taboos can yield enduring laughs if executed with wit. Genius, pure and simple.
Let's ride into Shane from 1953. George Stevens amplified gunshots with recorded cannon fire, illustrating how sound design shapes perceived violence. That technique became standard for modern action mixing. Visually, deep focus vistas contrast with tight cabin interiors, teaching spatial storytelling. Peace feels wide, threat feels boxed. Directors like Ang Lee cite Shane when framing moral showdowns. Its ending, where the hero rides into myth, introduced the bittersweet last gunslinger trope later echoed in The Wild Bunch, Logan, and countless lone wolf redemption tales, a classic, quiet power. From 1956, the monumental The Ten Commandments, Cecil B. DeMille proved analog effects could evoke biblical awe. He combined rear projection, dye vats, and gelatin walls to part the Red Sea, a practical showcase still dissected in VFX textbooks today. Economically, the film's roadshow release with souvenir programs pioneered event marketing, influencing blockbusters from Star Wars to Avatar. Its casting of Charlton Heston's steely certainty against Yul Brynner's regal swagger delivered an archetype of hero versus charismatic villain replicated in epics and even superhero sagas. Epic doesn't even begin to cover it. Moving into Chills with The Thing from Another World from 1951, producer Howard Hawks instructed actors to overlap dialogue, a welcome break from stilted sci-fi speech. That naturalistic banter inspired later genre scripts, particularly Alien. Narratively, the Arctic isolation allegorized Cold War paranoia. The monster can mimic life, echoing fears of hidden communist agents. Scholars use it to explain how genre films smuggle political commentary. Its "Keep Watching the Skies" final line sparked 2 decades of alien invasion cinema, proving a single tag can seed an entire subgenre. Still creepy. Hitchcock's remake, The Man Who Knew Too Much from 1956, actually improves its 1934 original by tying suspense to family stakes. The Albert Hall set piece links a music cue to a gunshot, demonstrating synergy between diegetic sound and plot tension, now a staple in thrillers like Baby Driver. Doris Day's Que Sera Sera serves triple duty: lullaby, foreshadowing, and marketing hook. Its Oscar win shows how integrating an original song can widen demographic appeal. Finally, the film evidences Hitchcock's belief in storyboarding every single frame. Published boards are still teaching aids in film production courses. A master at work. Then there's The Caine Mutiny from 1954. Humphrey Bogart's marble-rolling captain offers cinema's clearest case study of cracking authority. Psychologists still reference this portrayal when discussing combat leadership stress. The courtroom structure turns abstract loyalty debates into tangible stakes, influencing later legal dramas like A Few Good Men. The Navy even supported production, yet the script kept moral gray zones, showing cooperation needn't equal propaganda, an important precedent for future military collaborations. Fascinating. From 1955, East of Eden, Elia Kazan and cinematographer Ted McCord used widescreen lenses to dwarf James Dean against Salinas Valley fields, visualizing adolescent insignificance. Dean's improvisations, slumping against fence posts, sudden hugs, broke rehearsal norms and birthed a new cinematic masculinity, vulnerable yet rebellious. Cultural historians linked that persona directly to rock and roll attitude. The film also proved partial novel adaptations could succeed, encouraging future selective takes on large literary works, from No Country for Old Men to Dune. A star was born. Finally, we have High Noon from 1952. Carl Foreman's script plays out in real time, synchronizing on-screen clocks with theater wall clocks, an innovation that intensifies urgency. Thrillers like Phone Booth copy this device. Its political allegory, a marshal abandoned under threat, served as Foreman's indictment of Hollywood's blacklist cowardice. Presidents from Eisenhower to Clinton praised the picture as a primer on lonely leadership. Dmitri Tiomkin's ticking score pioneered the use of recurring musical motifs to mark narrative countdowns, influencing composers from John Williams to Hans Zimmer, a timeless classic about courage. So there you have it, folks. 20 masterpieces from the 1950s that truly reshaped the world of cinema. Which of these films have you seen? And which one are you now itching to watch? Let me know.